Welcome to Summerfields, the home of Duke Gin. And behind me you can see the old copper pots where the lychees are stripped to make this wonderful gin. So we're going to meet Andre van Heerden, the owner and distiller here, in a few minutes.
Come. Okay, so this is Duke, and Duke is a little Whistler. We're sitting at Summerfields in Mpumalanga, which is our family farm. And a couple of years ago, when Duke came on the scene, we also decided to turn our lychees into something of value, where we could distill the spirit and get onto the craft grades. My name is Andre van Heerden. I'm the distiller and one of the owners of Summerfields Estate and Duke Gin. And we are at the moment in the distillery at Summerfield. So Duke Gin is made entirely on the farm, from farm to bottle. It is made from lychee fruits, which we grow, we harvest, we distill, and we add the botanicals and of course bottle in this very distillery here. It is exotically fragrant. It is very flavorful. You smell the lychees and you smell the other botanicals that we grow here: rose geranium, macadamias, ginger, all from our area. The difference between our gin and 80% of other gins is that we make everything ourselves. We distill, as I said, from farm to bottle. The flavor profile typically of a Duke Gin is that the fruit is very forward and the juniper is very backwards in the palate. Typically there's 4 flavor profiles on gins, which juniper of course is the main ingredient. You then have spices, you have earthy grounded elements, and you have florals and fruits. And fruits and juniper combined makes a happy gin. Fruits and grounded like nuts and ginger makes for a contentment. So our flavor profile is typically a happy, contented gin that you can drink for relaxation, rather to become aggressive or depressed. So between middle December and middle January we harvest the lychees. Typically out of our orchards we get approximately 15 tons a hectare, which is around 90 to 100 tons. We also buy from the local farmers around us. Any lychee that is blemished, that is sunburned, that is torn, that you can't export, we can process for juice. And so it comes into the cold rooms here, and from here it goes to get processed. Okay, so this is a real handcrafted operation. As you can see, each lychee is being put in individually by hand into the depipper. The machine knocks the pip straight through the fruit and throws it out the other side. And the fruit comes out on this side, and it's already depipped, and all you can do is to press it out, and you've got a fruit ready to make juice. So here's the lychee pulp. It's now been skinned and it's ready to be juiced. So we're going to put it in the juicing machine just now, and then we're going to get this very sweet, sticky lychee juice that we'll ferment. So this is the pulp that comes out of the juiced lychees, and as you can see it's still very wet, and there's an enormous amount of taste in the pulp. And so what we do with both the pulp, the skins and the pips is that we sun dry it, and we then put it in a blitzer, and we make basically a ground, a powder from it, and that we put back and we infuse the gin later on with the natural pulp that comes out of the lychees as well. These are the fermentation tanks. We fill it up with juice about halfway. We then dilute it with water. We add champagne yeast and some nutrients. So this typical process takes between 4 and 5 days, depending on the heat and the humidity in the air. And once the sugar content has been turned into alcohol, we're then ready to strip the alcohol out of this lychee wine, which effectively is sitting in this tank. Okay, so this is the stripping process. So the wine comes out of the fermentation tank, it goes into this copper pot. So 200 liters of this wine goes into the stripping process. The vapors collect, and as you know, alcohol's vaporization point is lower than that of water at 78 degrees. So at 78 degrees, the alcohol vapors move up through the head, through this pipe, condenser, and it drops out there on the other side, and we've got a low volume, a low alcohol volume mampur basically. Typically out of a 200 liter tank, we might get about 35 liters of mampur. So Holger, this is a pot still. It's a traditional copper albemic still that was invented in the 14th century in Persia somewhere, and essentially you can see it's all made out of copper, and the copper extracts all the sulfur out of the wine. This is the traditional method. It's only got one way of distilling, and that's basically the heat that comes into the head at 78 degrees, and it gets cooled down, so you'll get a liquid on the other side. If you move across this side, we have a continuous still. So we have between 4 and 6 fractions, where there's a copper plate between each of these fractions, and that this one you can regulate the temperature. So you've got a controller here where you have control over the heat, and then you have the temperature gauges, one at the bottom and one at the top, so that you can control with the heat input and the water input how much heat you want to get out in this continuous still. So this in essence is the second process. We strip the mampur, we then turn into a lychee schnapps, in fact, which is very high in alcohol. It's between 65 and 80 ABV, and this continuous still clears all the impurities, makes it a lot softer and rounder, and once it's through this process, we're then ready for the gin run. This is the botanical room. We've got lots of juniper berries here, we've got ginger, we've got sage, we've got elderberries, we've got coriander, there's some rose geranium, some orange peel, some macadamia nuts. Here's some of the made up botanicals ready to go into the gin basket for the next gin run. It smells very good. And that's the process. So we have a recipe for sportsman, and we have a recipe for duke, and so we play with different recipes to kind of create that flavor profile that we look for. Okay, so if you ask the question, what is mampur? This lychee mampur is what comes out of that pot still. So dis wat die boere gehad het, net 'n tradisionele potstoel met 'n vuur onder hom, and out of there comes the lychee mampur that you see behind you. It's rough, it's very aromatic, and it's kind of a 30% alcohol content. It's very drinkable, but it is, if you smell it and you taste it, you'll see it's got rough edges of the fruit and of the alcohol.
And now for the most important thing, you're going to taste Duke Gin. I'm here with Andre.
Okay, here's some lychee mampur first, Olga. Taste that.
So the mampur, what you said is about 30%.
30% ABV, yeah?
And it's full Afrikaner bloed.
Moonshine. Proper moonshine.
Okay, is this the same as moonshine?
Well, I suppose that's kind of rough.
What do I need to taste?
Probably lychee and alcohol. So, next one. Let's do some schnapps.
So schnapps is also, I mean the French call it an eau de vie.
Yeah.
So typically made in the Black Forest regions out of, what's it, cherry, and what's the famous one, the Vian schnapps and all those sort of things.
So that's quite high in alcohol. Yeah, slowly. 60% plus ABV. But you'll taste it's a lot smoother. It's still got some of the aromatic flavor, but it is.
But you could water this down and sell it. Eh?
Of course you can. You have a bit of sweat on your lips there. So then we get to Duke Gin, which has got our botanicals that we've talked about just now. That should be smoother.
Much smoother, and
this is diluted, so it's the right ABV. It's about 43%.
Don't say about, otherwise they might close you down. And it's got a bit of juniper.
It's got lots of juniper. It's got ginger. It's got rose, geranium. It's got macadamias in there. So
because you're on a macadamia farm and rose farm, yeah.
correct. So we farm everything but the juniper berries here. And then finally we have our new London Dry. We call it our Duke Sportsman. You try that and compare it to a good old Gordon's.
And what's the difference now?
So that's got a lot more juniper. It's got a lot less lychee. So we distill the lychee almost out. You know, we almost go to a neutral spirit before we do the Sportsman. We add lots more juniper, coriander, orange peel, kind of the traditional London Dry spices. And there's rhubarb in there.
And that's just for me, eh?
That's just for you. So Summerfields is open to visitors either for lunch or of course you can stay over or just for distillery tours. Typically we do tours 5 days a week by appointment, and then typically people either stay for lunch or they go and have a cocktail at the gin bar on the dam. So we're open for business. Anybody is welcome.